Hey, this is Terry B, and we got another fun and exciting episode of Business Growth Time. We're talking about value proposition statements, USPs, elevator pitches, 60-second commercials, the ask, whatever you want to call it. How do you communicate your value? With me, as always, the one, the only, the lovely, the talented, the fantastical Janet E. Johnson, where today the E stands for enterprising. Oh, it's a big word.
That's a really big word. Why?
Well, enterprising, right? Not like enterprise as in big company, but enterprising as in one who is out getting in front of things and making stuff happen, right? If you are an enterprising individual, you are someone that is looking to grow, specifically in the world of business.
Very interesting. Very interesting. We just had a conversation. Terry and I actually talked about a half hour before.
Should have recorded that too.
We should have just recorded the whole thing because we did have some good tips always when just us conversating. But we were talking about Billie Jean.
Billie Jean.
Enterprising. Billie Jean is not that Billie Jean. Not that.
Oh,
not Michael Jackson.
It's the 80s movie one, right? No.
Oh yeah, I know.
Billie
I know.
Jean, the marketing.
Billie Jean is marketing is the company. Yeah.
Yes. Gene.
He would be enterprising.
He is enterprising for
There you
sure.
go.
Gary Vee is enterprising.
Yep.
I mean, Lewis Howes, enterprising. Chris Brogan, enterprising.
You and I are trying to be enterprising.
We're
we're
like
enterprising.
We're enterprising light. Right? Enterprising-esque. No, man, we're totally enterprising. We're enterprising. We just don't have
We're not to their level, but
$100,000
yeah.
a week to spend on Facebook ads. Right? You spend $100,000 a week on Facebook ads, you get to be more enterprising.
True.
Isn't that
all about
truth?
your ad spend. Yeah, it's true. Well, and how much content you're putting out there. So like
and
yeah.
what the value is that you're offering.
Aha.
See that segui right there? Nice segue.
Leading into our subject matter. And what is the subject matter today? Value proposition. And see, you can be enterprising and do all this type of content, but then if you never have that value proposition, how do you sell?
Or if people don't understand it or don't get it or it doesn't relate to them or it doesn't solve their problem or you're sending it to this market when your actual market's way over here, there's all kinds of reasons that your value proposition has to get in front of the right audience and solve their challenge. Okay, show's over. We're done. not quite it. It's the highlight, though. So
that was good. Okay, so now we need to break that down.
We need to break it down. So and I'm going to actually say it. I'm going to say it early for a change. I actually wrote up an offer on how to help people create their value proposition. So if you're interested in that, send me an email, bean@trybean, TRYBEAN.com, and just put value prop as the subject line, and I'll send you this thing. Terry's
He
picture.
He did it.
What up? So, but in the value proposition offer, it very clearly talks about the who, the what, and the why, right?
Okay.
And I'm not going to argue about which order it should be in. Simon Sinek would tell you should start with why. I'm inclined to agree with that, but we definitely have to talk about who, right? So, who does your offer help? So talk about some of the who that you work with, Janet E. Johnson.
Who? Well, I do a lot of lead generation. So I guess if you talk about lead generation, who could be a business coach?
Okay.
Who could
be a business coach?
Let's just go to business coach. There you go. Or any coach, any type of coach.
So personal coach, spiritual coach, fitness coach. Could you work with Wendy Pett?
Wendy Pett. Yep. Exactly.
Wendy, man. If you guys haven't watched or listened to that show, go find the one with Wendy. I'll get you the number soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all right, so who is coaching? I love that.
Sure.
So you just went and you already told us what the what is, but define what lead generation is a little bit more.
Yeah, it's actually getting on the phone with somebody, or it depends on lead generation. Can be building an email list. That's the simple, as easy as that. It can be building a bot, getting more complicated messenger marketing, or it can be building, the goal is to get a sale. So it's building leads, true leads to a company, to a coach.
So
Could be
people that
weather.
it could be people that have an interest in their product or service, right? So
Exactly.
whatever they're offering, which is obviously coaching, if you're a business coach, a personal coach, a spiritual coach, or a fitness coach, you're offering some level of coaching, right? Some level of accountability, some level of potential ass kicking, because sometimes people need a little kick in the butt to keep
Oh
them
yeah.
moving forward. Some level of, I want to pull information out of you to help you understand exactly where you want to go so we can create the path to get you there. Right? Is that kind of what we're talking about?
You got
So
it.
in this scenario, right, I am acting as a value proposition creator coach, right? That's when the
True.
offer,
Exactly.
right, the offer that I'm putting together and implementing has me playing the role of coach. And the end result is you're going to have a value prop statement. And I don't, again, when we introduced it, I said it doesn't matter if you call it your value prop or your unique selling proposition or unique selling point or your USP or your ask or your 30-second commercial or 60-second commercial or whatever.
Could be used for multiple things, basically, is
It
what you're saying.
can be, will be, should be, right? Or if you're me, maybe you'll just write it up on your computer and leave it there and never show anybody, right? Because that always helps too. This is a big step.
So really,
right?
it should be on your website. It should be on your Facebook, on all your different social profiles, in the description. And yep, okay.
And I mean, to your point, right? If we were doing like Facebook advertising, which is what you would be doing for coaching, you would probably make a little tiny cool graphic that talks about what's your value proposition statement, right? And then you'd have people click on that and they might go to a lead page or a different landing page that actually explains it. And then that might go off to a webinar where there'd be a 30-minute discussion about it. Or maybe it's a call now for a 15-minute consultation, or what else might happen? Why am I talking for you? Like,
Nope,
I guess
you
I do
got
that a
it.
lot.
Well, because we've talked about the sales funnels many, many times. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And now you know that I actually listen.
And if others don't know, that's what's called a sales funnel. Yeah. You bring them so you start with the value propositions. They understand what they're potentially going to get. And so you're answering the questions, who, what, why. So the people you're talking to, why they need it, and what they will get from it. What's the result? And that's always something that, even in a Facebook ad, copy should be this. I mean, so if you think about it, if you really set this up properly, you could use it in multiple facets across the board.
That's right. It's just a matter of having more sentences, right? It's for the value proposition. It should be maybe 12 words at best, right? You want it to be quick. You want it to be memorable. You want it to be something that's going to kind of explain exactly what you do. But the shorter it is, the more of a hook it has. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, and
let's come up with another sample. So we did that sample.
Okay.
Let's talk about, well, I just started with a law firm. One of my clients is a law firm, and they target their divorce law firm. So who is their audience?
Their audience are married people who really don't love being married anymore.
So it's probably an age, more than likely. Their age range is probably in the 30s, maybe 30s on up.
That's an interesting question. I'd love to see the stats on when divorce actually happens.
I think it's actually in the 40s is when it happens the most.
Oh, you're in the 40s. Uh-oh.
Yeah. I've seen it because I've had so many friends divorced.
All your friends are dropping like flies. I got divorced in my 20s, right? I'm a trendsetter.
Well, it probably is 20s or 40s. I mean, it probably actually is one of those two, because if you get married too early, then now we're on a whole different subject.
This is how we do our show, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes we go tangential. This is not news.
That's like it is interesting.
Man, now we'll have to get them on and have that conversation.
You know what? I'm meeting with them Monday, so I'll find out the stats on them.
Nice. Yeah.
Their audience would be, you need to get creative with that and figure out your audience. And it's typically, and sometimes they do look at women more than men, or men more than, I don't know. So that's
I would think, but let's talk about in their scenario, the who's pretty clear, right? It's
yeah.
angry people. The what is super duper easy, right? It's we're going to help you get divorced. But the why, the piece that actually is going to resonate with people, what are they going to do? What are the triggers that are going to make someone say, yeah, I want to choose you, divorce attorney, as opposed to these 700 other divorce attorneys, right?
Well,
So,
they're differentiated. That's one thing. They're collaborative. They don't typically go to court.
okay,
So
nice.
it's more of a, they try to work it out with somebody without having to take them to court. So it's a more collaborative way of, so that's one. So
So they're going after a totally different market then, right? Because there are people who are getting divorced who absolutely want to do it as clean and calm and kindly
yes.
as possible and want to carry on a relationship. There are other folks who want to just nuke the shit out of each other
Yep.
and
And they can't
blow it up
communicate. They
and
can't
be
talk.
done.
Yep. Exactly.
That's not their audience, right? They're
Nope.
never going to win with those
Mhm.
people. They
Nope.
might win with one of them, but that doesn't solve the problem, right?
Yep.
You can't have. I was watching The Godfather the other day, right? When I've not watched enough of The Godfather, but the original consigliere got retired because he was a peacetime consigliere, and they needed a wartime consigliere. So that's
Yeah.
very
Yeah. Similar. Yeah. So their why is a little bit different, is what you're saying.
their why
And
is
then,
totally different,
and then
right?
that leads to the
The
what
outcome.
they'll get out of it. So
and and that's what we really need to dive into is right, what are you going to make possible for people? That's what people hire others for, is what you can do to make their lives easier, more effective, grow their business, save them money, save them time, make them more productive. These are all the things that people are looking for, right? Maybe not all the things, but if you look at that six that I just listed,
mhm,
it's probably a pretty good representation.
mhm.
And most things are going to fall into that category.
You got it.
So if
Yep.
we share that as the why they do stuff with you, then maybe they have a reason to listen more, right? Because ultimately your value proposition isn't going to close any business, right? It's not. What it is going to do is it's going to get people to lean in. It's going to get people to ask more questions. It's going to get people to take a deeper dive, to read more, to watch your videos, to understand a little bit more about what you do and whether or not you're a fit for
I have nothing to add. That was good.
them. Shannon, stop.
Show's done.
Check, please. We are out of here. So no, and maybe we could be. Maybe this could be the shortest show in the history of time. I don't
It
know.
could. It could. I mean, I think you've said it. It's who, what, why. And now granted, okay, let's break it down a little more. With my business, I told you coaches, but that's part of the reason niching down can be so important. I don't just work with coaches. Of course, like I just said, a lawyer, that's like a local business. I work with jewelers. I work with, all different types of clients. So I think really figuring out who that audience is a big step, big step along the way.
It's huge. And here's why it's huge. It's because you can't sell to everyone. And if you're creating messages that works for
Yep.
everyone, you're creating messages that works for no one, right? Your ideal target has to feel dropped and dotted between the eyes when they hear your message. Otherwise, it's not going to reach them because it's so noisy, right? There's so
Yep.
many things going on,
Yep.
and in the offer sheet, I wrote up my statement and it says, I consult with small business owners to create messaging that gains attention, communicates value, and helps them sell more. Right? And it's quick, it's concise, but even small business owners may be a little too broad.
Could
Hell,
be.
the definition of small business is, I talk to people that are like, oh, a small business. Well, before I say it, tell me what a small business is.
Well, I think I look at a business, an entrepreneur business would be 1, 2, 3 people,
Okay.
typically one person. Yeah, that's a solopreneur. So, but even an entrepreneur, solopreneur, we know is one. But then small business could be anywhere from still the same thing, could be 3 people on
Sure.
up to, I'd say 10. That would be my opinion of a small business. If you're starting to get more over 10, I think you're getting to a bigger business. I don't know.
And I talk to companies all the time that it's like a small business to them is under 250 people. Right, 250. I've heard people say a small business goes up to 500 people. And it's like, wait a second, are you sure? Because how many, and I get like huge business is, north of 60,000.
But you're right. You're right. Because I mean, even, my husband works for a contracting company. I
Mm-hmm.
guess you would look at the remodeling company as pretty much a it's a small business, but they have 70 plus employees. But I guess it probably, it's hard. Yeah, that's very hard because then there's the huge target corporations or, that's
Right.
that's big. That's a corporate. That's corporate though. That's a corporate company. So I don't know. That could be
It's
a
so
whole show on its own. But I think small businesses, you're right. But does that not mean what you just said? You could help a 3-person business on up to a 100-person business or 5. I mean,
That's right.
so you
And
could.
that's why sometimes having it be a little bit vague isn't a bad thing, because you let people fill in the blanks as to whether or not they think you're a fit for them.
Yep.
Right. But it's, the consult with small business owners is one part, right? The create messaging, that's the what. And the why is that gains attention, communicates value, and helps them sell more. Right. And that's the piece that is, I think, the one that's going to either draw people in, or it's going to be like, yeah, no, I think I already know how to do
Who
that.
doesn't
So
want
I'm
to
not
make
really
more
worried about it.
sales?
I got to be honest with you. I want to make more sales.
Mm-hmm.
Janet,
Yeah.
you want to make more sales? Well,
Yeah.
listen, 100% of the people in this show want to make more sales.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, even the contracting company that I just talked, they're so busy, it's insanity, but they still want more sales. You know what I mean? Like if you can't stay in business if you can't continue to get sales. So I think that that's very important. So money does draw, will be a great, what will they get? Uh, of course, that's a top one. I mean, that really is a top one.
for
But then
business,
I
for
guess another
sure.
side top one is, fitness and the way you look is
Hmm.
another. So for
Yeah,
the fitness coaches or anything like that, of course, that's where they need to get people to go. It's a mindset thing and it's what you put in your body, it's exercise, blah, blah, blah. But
but for
how will they get there?
fitness, I think the reality is most people know that they want to have more fitness, right? They need to feel better, they need to look better. What we want there is we want the easy button, right? We want to figure out, how are you going to help me stay conditioned, stay on my routine, do the things I need to do, not put the crap in my mouth that I've been putting in, whatever the case may be, whatever those habits are. How are you going to help me systemize, right? And make it easier. But it's super, super important.
Yep.
And the systems is kind of an area of your specialty. You like systems. I like systems less.
Yeah, some days we have them, some days we don't, but
No, that's good. So I like this show, and I like the idea of it, and I think there's a ton of value to people to go through the process,
I think so
right?
too. So let's finish up with, what is your offer? I want you to give your value proposition to how you can help people with their value proposition.
All right, you're very, very funny. So the offer specifically is it's a 2-hour consult, right? Where
Okay.
I'm going to sit down and dive in deep with who that target customer is, not really who you think it is right off the top of your head, but who's actually been paying you money. And I don't want to go into specifics that are deeper than that, because then why do we need to go through the offer?
Exactly.
But so the deep dive into the who, a really clear picture of the what, right? In what matters to them, and then of course that's all driven from the why. So we'll spend 2 hours coming up with that. roughly 2 hours. I'm not a clock watcher. And then you'll have a very concise, very clear, very usable, very repeatable, and hopefully memorable value proposition. Again, 60-second commercial, unique selling proposition, whatever the case may be. So for mine, I consult with small business owners to create messaging that gains attention, communicates value, and helps them sell more. So you do that, you want that, call me. It's going to be a $249 price tag, and it's pretty straightforward. Actually, I said call me. I should say email me, bean@trybean.com.
And if you get this in 2018, it's that price. If you hear this in 2020 or 21, it might be a different price.
That's entirely possible.
Because podcasts go on and on.
And you know what? Realistically, you're still going to need the value proposition then.
Yeah.
You know, I had, it was one of the points I made in the original write-up is your ask may change. Right? What you're looking for may change from a specific ask and a customer perspective, but your value proposition, unless you fundamentally change what you do for your business, your value proposition is going to be the same, right? Unless you change what problems you solve for people, your companies, your value proposition doesn't change. And hopefully your value proposition comes from here, making gesture towards his heart, right? Because if you have a heart-led business, you're going to be way more into doing it than if you have like a head-led business or a wallet-led business.
I agree. So where can you join us is businessgrowthtime.xyz. Be sure to join our Facebook group. And we have tons of past podcasts and lots of different values like this and social media tips combined and lots of interviews at businessgrowthtime.com/podcasts or /blog, either one. And check it out. We'd love you to subscribe on iTunes. And if you got value out of this from the value proposition, we would absolutely love it if you would leave us a review. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Terry, for giving us enlightenment on the value proposition.
Sweetness. We'll see you guys really soon. Bye, Ernie.